What it is, guys, it's your boy Cracker Jack bringing you yet another character on Diablo 3. Now, as I explained in my last video, these characters that I am posting up are not going to get you into the higher grade or rifts. They're not going to get you into 70s or 80s or 90s, at least not that I've been able to do with them yet. These characters right here are solely characters that you can build based off of items alone. That makes it to where you can stick around and dominate in Torment 10 to farm the better gear, the higher gems, the augmentation, so you can build these badass characters we see on YouTube that are up into the 80s and 90s of the greater rifts. So this right here is my Crusader build. By far my favorite character. Now in my last video I did an unhallowed demon hunter, which is a ranged character. She is massively OP for farming in Torment 10. This guy right here, however, this will be the guy you probably would want to work on to get him up into the higher grade or rifts, solely because he is in your face, non-stop, kick-ass action, and I love that about this guy. So let's go ahead, we'll go on in, we'll see his stats, we'll see his armor, I'll show you his skills, and you know, at the end I'll give you some live game feed. You guys can decide if this is a character you like. Like I said, he is one of my personal favorites. Okay, so let's take a look at this stuff. Now this build is unlike anything else I have ever done. Almost every build that I've done for Diablo, especially Diablo 3, has always been built around the same kind of stats. You want to try and get a 50% critical hit chance. You want to get as maxed out on their main stat, whether it be dexterity, strength, intelligence, as possible. And you want as high critical hit damage, you know, as you can get. Then you would follow it up with some extra defense from all resist or a higher attack speed, maybe some life on hit. This build is way different. Like, it took me a minute to get used to this build. So let's go ahead and go over the armor real quick so I can show you some of the things. Okay, so your weapon of choice, this goes back and forth. I have people use the dagger known as the pig sticker for the faster attack speed, which is all nice and dandy. You can go on that route. I prefer the hack. And the reason I prefer the hack is because of the 98% of your Thorns damage is applied on every attack. Now this is a Thorns build, so Thorns damage is where all of our damage comes from. As you see, just below my character to the left, I only have 76,000 damage with this guy. That's it. But those white numbers, those raw damage, that don't mean shit, people. It really don't. Not with this build. Now, this is a hard build to play until you complete the armor set. Once you get the armor set done, everything else falls into place. But the hack is the weapon that I choose, okay? Now, you do see that there is 966 strength on there. That's not a necessity, okay? And I'll go over that in just a little bit. But let's finish the armor. You have Pride of the Invoker. The gloves. You have the shoulders, Burden of the Invoker. We have the Aquila Cuirass for our armor. We have the Crown of the Invoker. I run a Traveler's Pledge for my amulet. We have Shackles of the Invoker. We have the Voitoya's Spiker as our shield. I run a Justice Lantern and a Compass Rose to complement my amulet. We have the Zeal of the Invoker boots and the Renewal of the Invoker pants. Follow that up with a Belt of the Trove. Okay, so let's go over some of the things here. For stats, I have 8,000 strength, which isn't a lot for a Crusader, you would think. Only 76,000 damage. But you notice I have 10,000 vitality. That is where our damage comes into play, and this is the reason why. The Invoker set, 2-piece. Your Thorns damage now hits all enemies in a 15-yard radius around you. Each time you hit the enemy with Punish, Slash, or block an attack, your Thorns is increased by 35% for 2 seconds. So the bigger the group and the more you're blocking, the more Thorns damage is going to stack up and do more damage. You take 50% less damage for 20 seconds after damaging an enemy with bombardment, which is why we run the Belt of Trove. Every 7 seconds, it calls down a bombardment on a random nearby enemy. So between that belt and your 4-piece set, you constantly get that 50% damage debuff, okay? And, or you could say defense buff, whatever. And then for the sixth piece, your attack speed of punish and slash are increased by 50%, and you deal 800% of your thorns damage to the first enemy hit. So every time your first attack on an enemy is going to be 800% of your thorns damage. Huge damage application, right? Right. Okay. That brings me to what you need for your stats. So let's go ahead and go on down. Like I said, you do not need strength. This build is based off of your vitality. Okay? You see my critical hit chance is only a 5%. My critical hit damage is only 125. That's horrid. You do want cooldown reduction, and the main reason why, you want about a 40% cooldown reduction. And the main reason why is because when you do get into the higher grade of rifts, you will be running, what's that skill? You will be running Akarat's Champion. So when you get up there, you are going to be running that, and you're going to want that cooldown reduction to help get that down even further. That way you can stay in that mode a little bit longer. Now here's one of the main things about this build, okay? You need to get your block chance to as close to a 75% block chance as possible. Do not be fooled, people. There is a hidden cap here, okay? Even though you might have more than 75%, block chance throughout all your items, stop at 75. Diablo 3 has a hidden cap. You cannot get more than a 75% block chance. So once you get block chance to 75%, stop trying to work on the block chance. It'll be useless after that. You'll be wasting points that you could be putting in to attack speed or Thorns damage. My Thorns damage is 159,313. Now you're probably sitting there going, that's not that much. Yeah, I know. It doesn't seem like it's that much. But hey, this guy, I'm still working on him. I don't have him all decked out. This is just basic gear that mainly I've got him on. Now here's the thing. The way you can get this to go higher is vitality. Everything you have on your character has to have vitality in as much of it as possible, guys. Vitality, you want to focus on some life per hit. You notice I still 22,000 life per hit. Not bad, right? But vitality and life per hit, and then your attack speed. Those right there are the three things you're going to focus on. Okay? Well, also cooldown reduction, but like I told you, So let's go ahead and go over some of these things. You see I've got 950 vitality. You are going to want to run a yellow gem in your weapon here. I know it's unusual, but it adds an additional 38,000 Thorns damage. Remember, this build is solely on Thorns. You see I've got the vitality here. I've got the attack speed here. I've got Thorns damage here. I've got vitality here. I got the cooldown reduction to try and get to my 40% cap. I got an extra 10% to my bombardment damage. Not bad. Your Quilla Karas. This is where a lot of your defense comes into play. While above 90% primary resource, all damage taken is reduced by 50%. You do not use resource at all with this build, people. At all. So you constantly get that 50% defense buff out the door. And you notice what gems I'm running. Vitality gems. 1, 2, 3. I've got 1308 for my vitality here. I got 993 vitality here with some life per hit. I got Thorns damage, and I got a cooldown reduction thanks to the gem. Normally I would have one of my legendary gems here, but to show you guys that this build does not need legendary gems or paragons, I've taken out all of my legendary gems and all my paragon. I've taken off all my paragon points, so you can see you can play just with the items alone and running around. Anyways, but it's got 985 vitality. Critical hit chance doesn't do shit for me, but I had to trade something else out to get the socket into it, so I'm not going to mess with that. Shackles in the Invoker, I got 597 on the vitality. I got a 10,000 life per hit, some Thorns damage. Vitoya's Spiker, I got 926 on my vitality. I got the 11% block chance. Enemies affected by provoke take double damage, so anytime you provoke them, you're doubling your Thorns damage. Now, here's something that'll help you with your 75% cap. If you notice just under what I read, enemies affected by provoke take double damage from Thorns. Go right underneath there, you'll see a 29% to block chance. You're going to have to pay attention to that with these shields, because that is a huge jump right there to help you get your block as close to that 75% as possible. Justice Lantern, I got a 628 vitality on here. I got a 16% block chance. And you gain damage reduction equal to 47% of your block chance. Awesome ring is a must. Compass rose. I got the 11% move speed. I got the 614 vitality. I got the socket. Now, when you complete this set with the amulet, you, while moving, damage taken is reduced by 50%. While standing still, damage dealt is increased by up to 100%. There are other rings out there that people are saying that are way better than this. I just haven't been able to find them, so I'm sticking with this combo right now. Like a Stone of Jordan, that would give you extra damage to elites. Definitely a Hellfire amulet. But yeah, you know, I haven't gotten to those yet, so I'm still running these. Like I said, this is a build that you can kind of play around with for the most part. The main things that you have to focus on, you do need the Justice Lantern ring, you need the Vitola Spiker, you can either use Pig Sticker or the Hack, and you have to complete the armor. The Aquila Karas is a must as well. Belt of Trove. Everything that I'm showing you is a must for this character except for the amulet and the other ring. You can kind of play around with that and decide what it is you want to run and what it is you don't. I've got the Zeal of the Invoker. It's got the Vitality. It's got movement speed. I got Vitality here on the Renewal of the Invoker with some Thorns damage. And then my Belt of Trove, I got the Vitality and the Elemental Resistance. So there is the armor, guys, right there. All fine, all good. Let's go to the skills. For passives, I run Fever. While wielding a one-handed weapon, your attack speed is increased and all cooldowns is reduced by 15%. That'll help you stay in your Akarat's champion. Your Thorns damage, Iron Maiden, your Thorns damage is increased by 50%. Awesome. Need it. Hold your ground. You can no longer dodge, but your block chance is increased by 30%. That's another way to help get your block chance up there. Your cooldown of Steed Charger is reduced by 25%. And your bombardment by 30. Now I am running this solely because right now I'm running Steed Charger. If you're just going to be playing in Torment 10, these two right here are they're ones that you can trade in and out. If you're doing the greater rifts, you are definitely going to be wanting to run Akarat's champion with Prophet, and you're not going to be running this. You are probably going to be running Renewal because it is a way to block and gain more health. Either Renewal, or if you want the extra life, where is it? Yeah, you can get the Indestructible, you know, whatever. But yeah, right now, because I have not been doing greater rifts, I have not needed the Akarat's champion, so I've been running Steed Charger with the Endurance to run around faster for farming the bounties, and the Lord Commander just helps with it. So your main attacks is Consecration with Bed of Nails. Consecrate the ground, becomes covered in nails, dealing your Thorns damage every second. So when you get swarmed, awesome, awesome, awesome. I run Slash. You are probably going to be running Punish with Celerity, which whenever you block with Hardened Sense, you gain increased attack speed for a short time. This helps with your block until you can get to that 75% cap. Once you reach that 75% cap, you're going to want to probably go with Slash and Zeal for the faster attack speed, like I have. Iron Skin with the first rune Reflective Skin. Attackers take extra Thorns damage. Laws of Justice with Decaying Strength. An enemy who attacks you or your allies will do reduced damage. Provoke with Cleanse. You heal additional, so this is a healing, plus it's a damage buff, because remember our shield. Anybody that's provoked takes double Thorns damage. And then I already told you about the Thorns. In our cube, so for our cube, like I said, I run Swift Mount right now. When you are doing the Greater Rifts, you're going to want this. Akarat's Awakening. Every successful block has a 25% chance to reduce all cooldowns by 1 second, a must. Heart of Iron. Gain Thorns equal to 300% of your Vitality. This is why we run so much Vitality. This right here has to be in there. Gain Thorns equal to 300% of your Vitality. That's where your damage jumps. And then a Convention of Elements. You can kind of trade this out, play with it. I like the Convention of Elements. You could probably run like Amara's to gain you immunity to some of the elements, or, you know, one of the other ones that make you immune to elements. But I run the Convention of Elements, so that's all up to you guys. So yeah, there you guys have it. We have every single one of the items here that I've showed you. Like you've seen, you know what gems to run in them. You know which ones you can kind of trade out and play with. If you find something better, go ahead and try it out. Let me see how you do. Oh, before we do that, legendary gems. This is the first one you need to get. Boyarsky's Chip. Adds 56,000 Thorns damage and taunts the first enemy you hit with your primary skill for 2 seconds. This is a must. You are going to have to get this to run the Greater Rifts. Bane of the Trapped, because we are up close and personal, gives you a 30% damage buff. Awesome. Bane of the Stricken, once again, every time you attack an enemy, your takes damage from your attacks by 1.3%. Now, that doesn't seem like a lot, but as you're swinging and swinging and swinging, it adds up. So there's your legendary gems. Once again, our stats that we need to focus on, you want as much vitality as possible. Screw damage, screw critical hit chance, screw critical hit damage. You need to try and get to a 40% cooldown reduction. Attack speed does help. Get that if you can. Your block chance needs to get to as close to a 75% as possible. Not above, though. Remember, you'll be wasting points if you go above. And then Thorns damage, that's where all of our things comes into play. Last but not least, your life per hit, just because that does help keep us alive. So there's our stats, there's our armor. guys have it. It's that simple. It's that easy. I hope you enjoyed the build. Like, subscribe. I've got a couple more characters I want to throw up, and a couple more characters I've seen online that I want to play around with and see if I can get them to do exactly what these guys have. So, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it's something you guys can try out. Alright, you guys. Cracker Jack. See you later.